Hello, Readmasters. I'm August Johnson, and in the next couple of episodes, I will be going over the three-part Thrawn Ascendancy series written by Timothy Zahn. I'll be going over my thoughts, suggestions, and a little bit of the plot. Stick around to find out more. Okay, so Timothy Zahn, author of this series, he's a good author. He's written a couple of other Star Wars series, including a appropriately named Thrawn series. Not this one. There's another Thrawn series that he's written. The main characters of this series are Thrawn, Ziara, Talius, Samacro, Cherry, and General Yiv the Benevolent. Those are who I think are most important to the storyline and have the most meaning in the storyline. Of course, you'll have different opinions and thoughts, but I mean, those are who I think are the most important. Just a heads up. So I have no idea how to pronounce any of these names. I mean, it's up to you how to pronounce them and how to say them. Your own opinion, your own thoughts. This is just how I pronounce them. Obviously, different in my head, different when I say it, but we'll go along with it. So the antagonists of this story are the Nicardun, spelled Nikardun. No idea how to pronounce this. Up to you. So the plot, pretty much, Thrawn, is fighting the Nicardun. No idea how to pronounce. The Nicardun are trying to take over where Thrawn and the rest of his race live, which is the Chiss Ascendancy, and they are the Chiss, of course. So the Nicardun are trying to invade and penetrate the Ascendancy and take it over, sort of, not really from the inside, just, take it over by force. So Thrawn uses amazing tactical skills to defeat, hordes of Nicardun, sort of at every turn in the book. I don't really think these tactics are that realistic in how they could be used. I think, yes, they are amazing in execution, in writing, and in the book, but could they realistically be used? No, I do not think they could be used. Now, in the Star Wars universe, in the original movies, the tactics are sort of low down and, believable. But I think in this series, the tactics are a little bit far-fetched, and I think that they could be a little bit simpler. So this series expands on the universe, not that much, I feel like. So the Ascendancy, the Chiss Ascendancy, is sort of on the outskirts of the galaxy. It's on the edge. The Chiss called the main chunk of the galaxy lesser space, and they called the region around the Ascendancy the chaos, as do, ironically, the people who live in the chaos. They call it the chaos. I mean, it's kind of strange. I mean, you live in the chaos and you call it the chaos, even though you probably don't think it's chaotic because you live there and you're used to it. Yeah, again, this is not that realistic of a series. It's in the Star Wars universe, so it's supposed to be, science fiction and a little bit far-fetched, which I think this series does. It definitely expands on the battle side of the Star Wars universe, like ships and how battle is fought in the Star Wars universe. I think it does that a little better than the original movies did. But, I mean, I think generally, in the age range section, there is some politics, some intertwined, family relationships between the different factions of the Chiss and between the higher ups and how they interact with the regular everyday people of the Ascendancy. There's not a lot of gore in this series. It's not, like terrible descriptions of blood and, destruction. There is some cursing, just some minor, not really minor, some cursing here and there along the book. So I would say that 9 would be the minimal age at which you could read this series and sort of get how it makes sense, and just for age range and blood and gore and cursing. There are some character relationships, some well-built character relationships in this series. Between Thrawn and Samacro, there is an interesting one. So, the ship that Thrawn commands was previously Samacro's ship, but this governing force of the Ascendancy, the Syndicure, has confiscated the ship from Samacro and put it under Thrawn's command. So, of course, that's a sort of tenuous relationship, but I do feel like Samacro still sort of almost looks up to Thrawn and, obviously follows his commands because he's his commander and sort of have to. I think another interesting relationship is between Talius and Cherry. So Talius is a caregiver of this, not really a faction, this type of Chiss, I guess. So Cherry is she's called a Skywalker, strange name coincidence, at least in the universe, probably not in writing. So she's called a Skywalker because she can use this sort of special mind ability to guide the ship where it needs to go within the chaos and part of the Ascendancy. So the Skywalkers are exclusive to the Ascendancy and sort of treasured within the Ascendancy. So Talius, of course, has to be a good caregiver to take care of Cherry and make sure she doesn't, die on the ship of natural cause, like starvation. So she has to take care of Cherry, make sure she's doing fine, make sure she's well rested, well fed, ready to fly the ship. But here's the thing. Talius was also a former Skywalker. So I'll leave you to read on how that affects the relationships within the ship and between Talius and Cherry. So I would rate this book as a 4 out of 5 stars. I think, it's a compelling book so far. I mean, compelling series so far. I've already read this book. It's a compelling book, but I think it could have been made a little bit more realistic in the tactics, and I think the character relationships could have been a little more, built upon, because later on, the relationship between Cherry and Talius changes. I'll leave you to read that to find out. And I don't really like how it turned out. It's not bad, but I just don't enjoy it. It's not the most compelling thing to read. So this is a relatively recent book, published 2020. Lucasfilm, Disney. I really like this series so far. It's an amazing series. I strongly recommend it for you to read. It's sort of a quick read. It's what 380 pages long, almost 400. Yeah, it's a really good read. It's sort of quick. I think you'll finish the series relatively quickly. The books aren't that long. It's not a slog to read through. It is compelling, and you love to read it. You sort of just on the edge of your chair at every turn, in suspense at what will happen. And I really, really love this series so far. Hats off to Timothy Zahn for doing such a good job. I hope you guys enjoy this series as much as I did. See you in the next episode. Bye.